label it as ska, but we don't want to be, pigeonholed as that per se. It's more of like a melding of different types of styles, ska being one of them, but by no means the sole one. But I mean, as we're getting started out, we need, some way to describe it, obviously. So it kind of gets filed under ska, punk, or stuff like that. Punk folk.
Well, let me talk about some of the non-ska, non-punk elements in the music.
Yeah, sure, I'd love to.
For instance, you've got strings and the acoustic guitar at times, for instance, on the first track has a distinct classical feel.
Yeah.
Is that something that you were going for directly, or you just picked up in the musicians that joined the collective early on?
That was part of the whole the plan originally, because once again, it's another juxtaposition of really energetic, really loud, almost brash music. That's where the punk rock comes in. But also, it's being played by about 15, for the most part, classically trained musicians. So it's interesting. It's almost like, you take kids who've been training on their instruments, and instruments as peculiar as like French horns or violins, which don't normally never show up anything like ska or punk, and you take these kids who've been training for like the last 10 years, 10, 15 years, and you try something completely new with them. So yeah, I mean, the whole classical aspect was intentional, and I mean, we're happy with how it came out. Hopefully the people like it and they aren't too turned off by the the experimentalness of it.
Thomas, and vocally, there's a couple different few different presentations on the album,
Yeah.
but early on, the pushed tempo and the really excited vocals makes me think of the sort of the hot jazz of the 30s, kind of what like part of the revival sound where we hear like Squirrel Nut Zippers, etc.
Yeah. I'm actually I can talk about that for a minute. As for the vocals, I never really could sing. Actually, my mom always tells me like I need to stop screaming and learn how to sing. So I never really could sing that well. So my approach to everything, in all the bands I've been in, is pretty much to just kind of shout and scream and try to keep it relatively in key. But as for the Squirrel Nut Zippers, they've actually been a big influence on me, and I've actually been following them since my high school days, for like years now. And I mean, they haven't been doing too hot lately, but I still pop them in every once in a while. And yeah, I'm not ashamed to say that Squirrel Nut Zippers are a big influence on me.
Well, excellent. I appreciate that. How about help me out with some of the influences that I can't pick up on?
I mean, I can't speak for everyone else, but as for myself and the songwriting, a lot of my influences, actually probably like 80% of what I listen to is mostly like 50s and 60s doo-wop. My favorite group is probably like the Drifters. So I like, really old American music. And also another big influence in my life, which I'm not sure if it kind of comes through, but it will eventually with the next few albums, is an Eastern European folk influence.
Really?
Yeah, so we kind of grew up on Czech folk music, and one of my favorite musicians is a Czech folk artist, Jaromír Nohavice, and I actually listen to him a lot, and I get a lot of songwriting influence and I guess songwriting tricks from him. So actually, we're probably going to do a cover of his. I'm translating it into English, so there's probably going to be a Czech folk translation cover on the next Acoustic Bandits CD. Yeah, looking at that. So yeah, and then obviously there's so many different influences, because how is anyone, no one of any kind of cultural upbringing, we're all relatively intelligent guys and girls, in Acoustic Bandits, and we're all we've all been exposed to everything from punk rock to classical to folk to every kind of ethnic music, depending on where everyone's from. So it's a pretty broad spectrum.
And you want to apparently broaden that spectrum. Looking into the album, people are encouraged to go to the website acousticbandits.com and sign up from bongos to xylophone.
Yeah.
So, and there's also, you pretty much announce in here, the next album will sound differently.
Yeah.
Is there go ahead.
The reason the reason we want to sound different on the next album is because everyone tends to always bitch about how their favorite band changed and sold out, and we want to give them a chance to to say they like the old Acoustic Bandits better than the new
right.
and that we suck now. No. The reason that's also part of the experimental aspect of the Acoustic Bandits. Once again, it's not by any means a traditional band that, like, as of now, goes out on Friday nights and plays shows. Hopefully, we will be playing live shows in the near future. But it's an experiment in that it's kind of like an open door thing, where for the next CD, actually right now I'm like, getting people like emailing and phoning in all the time, asking about like, positions to be filled or whatever. And we really want to get a lot more musicians for the next CD, have it a lot more varied, and have a lot more like ethnic / different instruments. Like not, even the 15 musicians that are on there, we want even more. I mean, not necessarily all at once, but we want like peculiar instruments as opposed to like even like, the standard ones we have now.
But still all acoustic, right?
Yeah. It's always going to be all acoustic. Like you said, obviously we rely on computers, and now I set up a portable laptop recording rig. So now I'm actually going to do a lot of traveling for the recording. So if people out there are relatively talented on their instruments, drop us an email, and maybe you could be on the next Acoustic Bandit CD, because I travel quite a bit, and for the next CD it's going to be recorded pretty much all over the place, as opposed to the last one, which is recorded in one like central headquarters kind of thing. So hopefully I'm going to be... What's up?
How was that recording done, Thomas? Did people like mail you DAT tapes, email you audio files?
Oh, well, for the last one I can only speak on the one we did already, because we have started recording the next one. But the EP, the first one, it was pretty much all friends of mine, and it was more of like a favor kind of thing.
Okay.
Everyone came over to my, I guess, I wouldn't even call it a studio, just my basement. It's kind of like a ramshackle, like, a bunch of equipment thrown together in a small room. And they just came in, and no one knew the songs, no one heard any of it before. They were just kind of improvising, kind of like, I'd hummed the melody, and they played a few times, and then we went in and recorded it. But the next CD, like I said, it's going to be hopefully more structured, and hopefully the musicians will have more input on the songwriting and the melodies and whatnot. And it's going to be more of like a thing where the song is going to be whittled into their final presentations, through time, as opposed to like recording in 1 week like we did with the last one.
Now, allow me, if I could, to be devil's advocate or something.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand philosophically it's time to distance ourselves from like the electric guitar rock combo.
Yeah.
But hey, like I play the theremin. It plugs into the wall, but that's like an old analog synthesizer. Why am I being marginalized out of the Acoustic Bandits?
They hate people like you. I mean, in your case, I mean, it's an exceptional instrument. It's not exactly like an everyday instrument. It's a very, very old instrument. So if you're trying to apply, send in a demo, and we'll get back to you. So, I mean, we're not completely...
I'm getting the brush off here.
No. We're not completely excluding... I mean, I guess in a way we're excluding electronic instruments in terms of, like, the traditional, like, guitar, electric bass and stuff like that. But, I mean, we can work something out, Tom. I'm sure we can.
Okay, I'll send something in.
We can do a theremin solo after the next CD.
Cool. So, then... do you entirely want to let this thing... You said you already started recording the next one?
We started laying the songs out. We haven't started recording.
So you're getting email and website submissions from people. You can't predict what their styles and instruments are going to be. You're just going to work with what you got, or do you have a stylistic direction for this album?
Well, that's one of the biggest advantages of the way we record nowadays. We can, record like 50 voices, 50 different instruments onto one song, and then later on, while editing, we can take out what we want, keep what we want, change what we want, just kind of play with it. It's almost like painting. It's like you have this canvas that's your song, and you can pretty much layer it as however you want. So, even there's even a lot of music that was on the last EP, a lot of parts that were actually taken out because they didn't fit, or they're too long, they made the song too long, or they just didn't, they didn't sound right, they didn't mesh with the rest of the song, so, we could take it out. But, obviously we're not going to, like, snuff someone that recorded, a number of hours for us, but we do edit the stuff after we record it. So.
Understandable. Is there a working title for this next album?
A Farewell to Arms.
No, we're already bookending the whole project.
Yeah, it's over. It's going to be... It's going to be our last album. We're going to do our last tour, and then, we're going to pack it up and move on. We're all starting rap metal bands.
And they'll be big in Japan, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, there's no working title yet. I mean, right now I'm involved in another band right now, recording another band, so we kind of got to finish this before we move on to the next Acoustic Bandits CD. But hopefully it'll be done by around Christmas time. But then I don't want to give away too much. It's kind of like a work in progress. But our third release is actually going to be a double CD, and that's going to be recorded with a full orchestra, and it's going to contain no original music. So it's going to be extremely experimental. It's going to be very time consuming, and it's going to be recorded next summer, like a year from now. It's such a big endeavor for us that we're actually starting to plan it now. It's going to be 2 discs. One of the discs is going to be one song. It's going to be a 1-hour song with no singing. So I guess that's all I'm supposed to say. But it's going to be really experimental and really different, like completely to the left of what people have come to expect from modern day pop, 4-minute songs, chorus, verse, stuff like that. It's going to be completely out there. So hopefully with our next CD we'll get enough I guess notoriety to pull off the third CD, which is going to be really out there.
Something to look forward to, and another reason to continue to visit acousticbandits.com. I'm sure you'll have news up there, right?
What's up?
You'll have news up there about it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I try to update the site as frequently as I can, but right now I'm in the middle of finals, so I don't really have too much time sometimes.
What's your major?
I'm actually graphic design and film. So it all pretty much applies to, everything's one big package.
It's all art.
Yeah.
Thomas, it'd be a favor to me if you remind the audience of who you are and what they're listening to.
All right, sure. Hello, everyone. This is Tomas Kalnoky of the Bandits of the Acoustic Revolution, and you're listening to Outsight Radio Hours.
Thomas, I thank you sincerely. It was an honor.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care.
Take care.
Bye.